you ever wondered, can you communicate directly with spirit guides, teachers, or non-physical consciousness, or even our higher selves? What would they tell us? My name is Kevin Moore, and since 2015, I started to practice a form of communication which is termed channeling. I have been interviewing experts on my talk show to find out, does life continue after we die, and can we communicate with those that have crossed over? With each expert I spoke to, they all had different ideas. Is there knowledge from the past which could be shared with the present moment? So I thought, why not just speak to the non-physical world directly through channelers around the world? And that's what I set out to do. They Call Us Channelers will take the viewers on a journey into the phenomena known as channeling. And my main goal with this docuseries is to bring a new understanding and awareness to channeling by looking within ourselves and asking, is it truly possible that we can all use this innate ability?
Hi, I'm Wieteke Koolhof and I'm channeling Arjun of the Yael. Okay, so this went in phases of getting downloads more in dreams and out-of-body experiences, and then I started automatic writing, which is a form of channeling in a sense, for about 7 years, starting at the end of my 20s into early 30s, and then I started vocal channeling, and that I've been doing for about 3.5 years now. Well, understanding the broader perspective of the idea of channeling, everybody's channeling from time to time when they're in alignment with their higher selves. So anyway, we're channeling the persona self we believe ourselves to be, as I understand it right now. But you're truly tuning in with your higher self when you're following your passion, your heart, your bliss state to the best of your ability. And yeah, that's a state that you see, for instance, when a dancer is in a dance and fully engaged in that, or an artist is painting a painting and they forget all notion of time. And that kind of channeling state, I believe we are all absolutely capable of. It's within us, and actually something that our being yearns for, to be in that place, in that frequency, because it's the truest version of who we are in any given moment, if it's in alignment with our passion and excitement. Well, I've been experiencing since I was a very young child many, mostly ET connections, and eventually Arjun, which is just a name that he uses for us so that we can identify him, because we use names but they don't in their civilization. But Arjun, well, you could say stepped forward, I don't know how else to say it, and reminded me that before I incarnated into this physical lifetime, I have made an open agreement with him to work together in this life if I wanted to, and he reminded me, we're ready, and if you are too, we can do this now. And it blew my mind, because I really didn't see that one coming, and but I thought, okay, well, it definitely wasn't on my bucket list to become a channeler, but let's see what happens if I actually do. So I really tested, you could say, what would come through, what would happen, how it would feel for me to do so. And I must say, honestly, I fell in love with it. So I'm still just following this journey. I'm learning a lot on this journey as well, and taking it one day at a time and seeing where it leads me. So now we're working together. Immediately I started working internationally, because I already had these connections and I love to travel. And a lot of the people that I know in Amsterdam are not necessarily from the Netherlands. So it was received well, in the sense that the Netherlands are pretty open-minded, but it wasn't just there. So yeah, it went real quick, I must say, yes. Well, I just hope, I would say, or visualize for the future that humanity as a whole gains a broader understanding of what channeling actually is. And as we get to know ourselves better, I think we will come to the discovery that this is a state that we already have to our... it's there for us. You can use it whenever you want. You can tune in with that higher version of yourself, that bigger knowing, whenever you want. And in my visualization, that looks like we are returning ourselves home. That's kind of how it feels to me when I picture that in my mind, that these are the words that come. It's like we're going back to the state we were at before we came into this life, because we've been playing this game of forgetfulness, and I think it comes with awakening that we understand what channeling really is, and it becomes a much more accepted, normal thing, like, and not so out there or weird at all. We'll understand much better that we create ourselves in every single second, and that can be many things, and it doesn't have to be linearly logical either. So it's a very exciting time where we are, I feel, spreading our wings, and there's just a few people perhaps out there today, but this is an increasing number daily, who are introducing this concept to the majority, to the mainstream, and I feel it has a lot of momentum. I'm very excited to see where this will go. I think whoever really wants to do this, the passion is genuine, the wanting can be super genuine in that sense. But of course there's a difference, I feel personally, but of course it's subjective. So there are people who channel that I resonate more with than others. And I think in general you could say sometimes the wish to be a channeler is bigger than the allowing of that. And sometimes the image of what it needs to look like is also bigger than what it could be for that person. So the beautiful thing about channeling, I believe it looks different for every single person. Nobody can channel identically, like exactly identically to another channeler, because then there would be no use for there being two individuals. They're still going to be their own person, no matter how much they are alike in the message or behavior. And I believe that's a good thing, because we need every unique signature frequency version of what channeling can bring to this world. And the more people plug in with their own higher selves, the more I think we amp up this world with higher frequencies, and there's a lot to share and to give. But yes, of course, people are on their own journey, and I have seen people bringing messages through from a more old paradigm point of view. And yeah, I do resonate less with that, but that's also fine. I can also see that they are where they are, and that's their game. Well, in the bigger understanding of the broader perspective that channeling is actually aligning with your own higher self, it brings you the possibility to live your life to the fullest and to really get to know yourself in the most bold and passionate way. Because I think we all have a lot more within us than we are aware of. And when you align yourself with your higher self, you allow in bigger shifts in your life, bigger changes, which will also perhaps challenge you now and then and ask you to come out of your comfort zone. But that allows in bigger transformation, more flow. That's what it's all about. You will go with the flow. That's the whole point, that you allow that to flow through you without insistence as to what it should look like or where it should go. And if you take the insistence out of the game, it could go basically anywhere, and that truly sets you free. So I think the channeling state in general can help set us free when we realize who we really are, or we get to remember more of who we really are. And you're really reconnecting with your higher self, so you become more of who you already are. Yes, that's how I look at it. there any particular subject you would like to talk about?
Yes, thank you for joining us. Now, who is here?
We are the Yael. I am a future version of the channel you see before you. We have given you the name of Arjun to relate to me by, as this name is a good representation of the energy frequency translated into your language that I represent in general. Do you understand?
Yes.
So by this symbol you can call me, though in our society we do not use names, for we understand who we are addressing and who we are already connected to by the unique individual frequency signature that every member of our society has, and that all of you have. And that is how we communicate with you through this channel. We read into your energy frequency signature in order to make this translation, this connection at this moment of your time. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Thank you.
And are you physical or non-physical?
We experience ourselves still as physical, but you could say that we are moving from this is a rough indication, from mid to late fifth dimensional energy. So you are, right now, to give you an example, you understand you are in a fourth dimensional reality, 3 of space, 1 of time, correct?
Yes.
You are on the tipping point, or you could say already moving into 5th dimensional reality. So you will find that depending on how you choose to live your life, you can very much so already experience moments where the 5th dimension is tangible for you. Time becomes more fluid, more slippery. Things become more synchronous for you. You will recognize yourself in the world you up until now have believed is something outside of you, and you will see that it is all from within, projected seemingly outside of you, a stage for you to play on. And as you are remembering the play, you can be childlike again, you see, because it won't feel like you are being lived by your circumstances. You will remember that the circumstances are a reflection of something that is originated from yourself. And so you bring yourself back to the bigger understanding of who you are. And this 5th dimensional reality, you are still physical. You will just be consciously aware of the world you live in being an extension of who you are. And this conscious awareness of that lifts you outside of the boundaries of space and time, begins to lift you outside of it. And with that grander understanding, you are gradually moving into eventually non-physical. But that will still take some time as you look at it linearly. Do you understand?
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a future aspect of Wieteke we're speaking to, but how many other connections of Wieteke, or what else are you are you only connected to Wieteke? Do you only channel with Wieteke right now, or is there other aspects of Wieteke in different parallel universes or realities that you're connected to as well?
The way you ask the question, it can be answered in many ways, but you could say that even as you just live your human life, you are a new person in every single split second. So I'm connecting through billions of versions of this channel throughout this little bit of conversation that we've had so far. Do you understand that all of these, you could say, versions of her are already parallel dimensions onto themselves. Do you understand?
I do. So
that is just one part of the multidimensional mirror that we are connecting through and looking at. And then, of course, through the oversoul connection that I have with her, there are many more involved and connected. And this is often a synchronous dance of other also ET species and other aspects of her human parallel simultaneous incarnations that cross-connect whenever relevant for the communication. And when we speak to another person, we tune in with their oversoul and soul, higher self connection. And other aspects of them can come through this channel as well to be mirrored back at the questioner. So it is usually an orchestration of many, many, many puzzle pieces from very different outskirts of the universe and many different dimensional layers.
So you're connecting with multi-dimensional aspects of yourself, this being one of them in front of me right now.
Yes.
Why?
Because it is my highest excitement to do so. Because I'm following my heart.
And what is that doing? Is it why are you coming through even to this aspect of Wieteke right now and all the lovely information that's coming through? Why are you doing this for?
We have made an open agreement, you see, before she came into this incarnation to work together in this way. And we understood that if she would follow her heart to the best of her own ability, that she would encounter the remembrance of that, you could say, possibility. And so she did, and she decided to co-create with us in this manner. And every single time she decides to tune in this way again, we both decide individually, from both directions, you could say, to co-create in that way anew and anew and anew. And this is a process. It is unfolding as life is. We are getting to know each other, and you could say that we as the Yael are getting to know you as a human race along this way of sharing, this way of overlapping our individual worlds.
Well, what did you know about us before? I mean, obviously you're the future aspect, so you must have...
A future aspect.
A potential future aspect, so you must know what we've already potentially gone through, where what wars, what crisis, what pain, what joy that we've already gone through from the point of view where you are looking back.
We see all possible relevant versions of your past and future that cross-connect with you in this single here and now, and that changes every single here and now. So the past that you are talking about right here, right now, is the one that you are agreeing exists within your perception of reality. Do you understand?
In the perception of reality that you're in, this would have already been so. This is already past.
For you it is. And we can look through your eyes and understand, obviously, what you are referring to, but we are reflecting back to you that that is a chosen reality that you are right now creating from this present moment, because, as you perhaps understand, past and future are being created from the now.
Yes. By you coming back through this way and through other multidimensional aspects of Wieteke and all.
I'm not necessarily coming back because we are simultaneously existing. There only is the here and now.
But you call yourself a future aspect.
In order to assist you to understand from a linear perspective where we are located, you see.
Right.
So
are we not ready to hear then where you really may be? Because yes, I can understand, and people watching this would understand, oh, a future aspect, that makes sense. But you're saying actually it's much more than that.
It's here and now. Everything is here and now. And there's no reason for us to keep that a big secret, because it is not. There only is the here and now. Try not be here and now. You can't. There truly is only here and now. And whatever you think of, you're thinking of it here and now.
But surely you coming in this way through Wieteke, even in this aspect, let alone the multidimensional aspects you're coming through her with, you're healing this present moment by making it better than it was before.
That is a subjective meaning that you're writing into it, but thank you for making it such a good one.
But isn't that true though? Because are you not...
Truth is subjective.
Okay, well...
If for you it feels like an improvement to your here and now perspective of the world, that we are coming through this channel at this moment, then thank you for following your heart and connecting in that way and co-creating in this way with us. We highly enjoy it. But we do not insist that any one individual on your planet does enjoy it. And we also understand that there are those on your earth who are not the slightest bit interested in communication such as this. You see, and it is all true. That is true for them.
That is true for them, but have they chosen that truth before they even came here, incarnated here? So that
you choose everything that you choose to believe in every single here and now, because you recreate yourself in every single here and now, meaning that you can override, rewrite and rearrange your belief systems in every single here and now, and create yourself to be the person that you prefer to be. And the fastest way to do so is to allow yourself to follow your highest excitement in any given moment to the best of your ability until you can take it no further, and without zero expectation as to what the outcome should be like, and then move on to the next thing that has your highest excitement in that here and now. And by following that breadcrumb trail of your own passion, you will become the biggest version of yourself that you can possibly be in any given here and now. And anything that is relevant for that version of you to know in any given moment will be brought to you. Information, answers to certain questions. Anything that is relevant, anything that you need will be brought to you. Do you understand?
Yes.
It's a simple reflection of the energy frequency you prefer to be, you choose to be. You see, it works much like a mirror, and you may have heard this analogy before. If you look at a mirror, you understand that in order to make the reflection in a mirror smile, you will need to smile first. Physical reality is like a mirror. If you do not decide to smile first, it simply cannot reflect back to you. You see, what you put in. That's the mechanism. It's very simple, really.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Absolutely it does. I guess it's just difficult. It's a very, very deep thing to wrap yourself mind around what's going on right now in one aspect. Because it almost to me it feels like and I'm making this truth up, if I make the truth up that you're a future aspect of Wieteke coming through, then you would know what the future had been. Are you coming back to heal something or to make your spiritual progression even quicker? Because by healing your past aspects of yourself, which are all now anyway, you heal the present moment, which is where you're from.
You're from the present moment. We're all from the present moment. We're not... Correction. We're not from anywhere. We are in the present moment, always. Do you understand? If not everything would simultaneously exist in every single here and now, how could you make a connection from the future to the past? You see?
But technologically, where you're at, would it not seem like God's from the perspective where we are at in the present moment right now?
Linearly looking at it, you would call it the future. But we are both here and now, co-creating this here and now, are we not?
Yes.
That could not happen if we were not also both existing here and now.
Yes.
So that brings you back, perhaps, to the understanding that future and past are here and now, being created here and now. Nothing needs to be healed in the past for us Everything is absolutely perfect as it is. We're not judging any version of the past as you choose to create it from this here and now. It is all as it is. But we are here on invitation, you see. Your higher, let's say, human collective higher self has been asking for a certain frequency to be offered, to be channeled through as an open invitation given to you to play with in your own way. And without being intrusive, we are offering you the way we look at things so that you can play with that in your own way if you choose and if you even resonate with it for yourself. You see? So we are here on invitation not because anything needs to happen or must happen, and understand that everything that can possibly happen, in a sense, but also literally, both, is happening right here, right now. And there are many versions of parallel Earths that have chosen a very different path, you could say, that leans more towards the negative than to the positive. And we are not communicating with them the way we are communicating with you. You see, our message of unconditional love, our unwavering knowingness of the structure, the blueprint of what you understand to be your reality, that is being made of unconditional love, and the messages that we can offer to you without insistence for you to play with that are in line with that invite you to come into alignment with your own higher self, your own passion, your own source connection. All of that brings you to the bigger understanding, perhaps, that you must be on a version of Earth that is leaning towards the positive. Otherwise, we would not have this conversation. You see, we're having it because we can see, we perceive right here, right now, from where we're looking at, that we are moving in a similar direction, you see. We're just reaching out our hands, and if you want, you can take it and we can lead you around, because you have, in a sense, already wandered into a garden that is as a bridge in between both our respective worlds.
Obviously, it's said that we choose to come here, and that if that's the case, then we've chosen a forget-me-not, in a sense of who we truly are, that we're maybe this idea of a soul having a human experience, and a soul is just a human word. We don't even know what that is, but it's consciousness experiencing this human life.
Yes.
And it's almost like we've forgotten, by coming here, who we truly are.
Well, you have. For the longest of times, you have chosen that formula in order to be able to rediscover yourselves. You see, when you are in the non-physical, without a time-space reality experience, you do not have the opportunity or chance to rediscover yourself, because you already know who and what you are. So only by traveling into a density layer where you, well, let's say, put some filters in place that for a while will keep you from remembering all that you know when you're up there, quote unquote. Only by doing that, you create the perfect circumstances in order for you to truly have the experience of rediscovering yourself. And that is a valuable addition to all that is.
So why do we have bleed-throughs like yourself coming through, and bleed-throughs of mediumistic gifts, if we wanted to come here and not remember that we're a soul having a human experience?
Good question. And this is why you call this the time and age of your awakening. The bleed truths, as you call them, are increasing. You could say that all possible scenarios that can be played out with that particular intense level of forgetfulness, by now, linearly looking at it, have been played out. And therefore, for your evolution, or those who are coming into this version of world that we are speaking with you on right now, it is more interesting to begin to explore what it is like to remember more and more. And that is exactly what you're doing. And this is what you call your ascension time, or time of ascension.
So those who never wake up, or have maybe chosen before they come down and never to wake up and be seen to not be interested in any of this stuff or ever look into any of this stuff.
There's no such thing as never or ever. Everything is simultaneously existing and everything is continuously changing, you see. So there are 5 universal laws, or universal you could say. By that we mean they are unwavering, they don't change in that sense. Whatever dimension you enter, wherever you go in your evolution, spiritually, in that sense, you exist, do you not? You know you exist. And that means you have always existed, and you always will, because you are an infinite being. The second one is, you are the one, the all are the one, and the one is the all. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. And since you are one of the all, you are also the one. You are the one, and you are, you could say, using the energy, the focus of all that is, the power of the one, of Source itself, to gaze upon reality through your eyes, pretending that this is all there is. Isn't that genius?
Yes, and that gives you a unique experience, even to be switched off like that, to know that this is all there is, in that belief.
Exactly, because your perspective is unique and therefore a valuable addition to the all that is. So we have you exist, the all are the one, and the one is the all. Everything, like we said before, is here and now. Everything is here and now. The past and the future are being created from the present. So everything therefore must be coexisting here and now. That is the third law. The fourth is, what you put in is what you get back. And this is the idea of resonance reflection. You understand what we just explained to you a little earlier. Physical reality being as a mirror. And what you put in is what you get back. Do you understand? And then the fifth law is, everything changes except for the first 4 laws. Understanding that everything changes except for these first 4 laws, you cannot possibly state that those that have decided to never wake up, decisions like that have no use in being made in that sense, because everything always changes. Any given individual has its own unique frequency signature, and in any given split second is free to decide what belief systems they choose to hold true in any given moment, and therefore they can change who they are. They will automatically, whether they see proof of that or not. But you can create the idea of repetition. You can create the experience of a mundane life where things are seemingly unchanging. Getting up every day at the same time, eating the same breakfast, going to a 9-to-5 job, seeing the same people, going back to the same house. All of that is only being experienced that way because that individual defines it as the same thing. But that is their creation. They have chosen to create it that way. Nothing is ever boring when you understand that in every single moment, as all this God source creatorship, which is also what you are, is flowing through this particular perspective that you believe yourself to be in this incarnation. Nothing will ever be boring again when you understand that in every single moment you are recreating all that you perceive to be seemingly outside of you. And you have created that. And all of that is you. And that in itself is mind-blowing. And it becomes even more so when you begin to play with it and recognize that as being part of you, as being also you. Do you understand?
Yes, I think so. This is massive chunks of information there in my small human brain, but it does resonate what you're saying.
Well, thank you. And you can take all the time you need, since time really also is just a concept.
I guess then, yes, it's just going with your passion, isn't it? Then if you're really passionate about these subjects, like I'm passionate about the fact that there's information that can come through someone like Wieteke with working with yourself that could help people's present moment. That's why I try to do it for.
Yes, it will bring people potentially more into the present moment when they remember these things, which you all already know, you see. We could not have even shared this information with you if not on one level or another you were not already containing the readiness within you to receive that. You see, you will not manifest into your awareness any piece of information that you are not ready to work with in one way, shape or form. Whether that is by becoming more curious about it, recognizing it immediately for yourself, or not getting it at all. Because that too actually shows you where you are and therefore functions as a valid mirror to allow you to get to know yourself better in this here and now.
And even that person who maybe never had a life where it seemed to be one of looking at any of these subjects, never seemed to have any interest or would poo-poo it in some respects, maybe on their last breath or their last conscious memory in the body was, oh, there might be more. But we would never have known they thought that, except for they would have known when they've crossed over.
Yes. There were people who lived their life in that idea, yes, but it was a belief system they chose to use as a filter in order to be able to have a certain human experience.
Right.
And so they lived to the maximum of their abilities. And it was perfect.
With that experience of
Truly, we see a world as a planet of masters, not toddlers, as many as you often think. It takes mastery, and it takes, you could say, for a soul to incarnate on your earth and to play the game at such a high stake, you could say, although there's nothing to lose, and as a soul you know that. But it is quite a roller coaster ride. It's one of the most exciting places to be that you can possibly imagine. Do you understand?
Is this almost like being at a theme park and there's a ride that you can take as in a human experience ride?
That would be a great analogy, yes.
So when I get off the ride, who am I really? Who was I really before I got on the ride? Who am I really?
You mean when you transition from the physical to the non-physical, or what you call when you die?
It could be that, but just to go back to the analogy of the ride, where, okay, there's a Dungeons and Dragons ride, and it's going to be for the human VR experience.
Yes.
Have a ride for 5 minutes, which will last you 90 years, but it will feel like 90 years, but actually your friends are just waiting for you at the end of the ride. Yeah.
Yes.
Who was you before you stepped on the ride, and who are you when you come off the ride?
Before you stepped on it, you were a very curious and excited soul, energy, you could say, that wants to focus in that particular very specific way. You see, this is how you create the idea of time-space reality, because you are focused in such an incredibly specific way into your density. You understand that what you call matter has a slower vibrational frequency than things that are etherical, such as a gas. You understand? So you could, looking at that analogy, understand that when you incarnate into this density that is a physical density, that you have slowed your vibration down to a degree where you can really take your time, because that's what you have created by doing so, to discover one thing after another. But understand that that is a concept that you cannot begin to perceive when you are still on the soul level. There is not one thing after another, because the soul level has the overview. It sees everything simultaneously. There is no time in that same perception as you have it here. You're moving like a light shining through a movie projector. Mm-hmm. You're moving through seemingly for you connected frames of environment. You don't see the seams, you understand? But they're actually single snapshots. You understand the old movies, the way you could look at them against the light. You understand? The film strip.
100%.
With every single individual image. When you slow your frequency down to that degree, the time-space reality is being created because you are moving through these film strips, one after another, in a tempo that creates what you believe is linear time-space reality. A linear time-space reality. And you can choose to believe that things need to be or are logically put in a certain order, so you can say to yourself, this thing has happened and therefore I have learned something from it that I can use in the future. And that logical reasoning is what you quote unquote need in order to have a linear time-space reality experience. And that is the only way you can discover or rediscover something. You have to hide it from yourselves first. So all that is has found this setup, and this is just one of many, 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 to hide the Easter eggs, you could say, in a sense, for you to rediscover yourself, hatch, and become a bigger version of yourself. Spread your wings, and in that sense, raise your frequency every single time you find a new egg, and understand that within that shell is actually you. And that all the layers that seem to be around it, you have just been playing hide and seek with the bigger version of yourself. This is what you do on your roller coaster ride, and when you come back to the soul, in that sense, when you transition from physical life to what you call the afterlife, but really it is just life continuing. It's in a slightly different energy frequency. It will feel more like waking up from a dream. And remembering the dream.
Yes.
But you will have taken with you these energetic frequency elements that you define as experience. And that is how you enrich the soul. And that is what motivates it, you could say, to go and have more roller coaster rides. From different angles, from new perspectives, to have other adventures, to rediscover itself from even more angles.
It's almost like the movie Total Recall, where he takes a brain implant to have a specific experience, but this is almost like a love bomb experience, where in the end it's how much did I love in this life?
It is all made of love. The entire experience, in that sense. Even though you are free to choose to believe that you are not loved throughout your entire life, in that sense, it is all made of love. And when you awaken to your bigger perspective, when you come back to, linearly speaking, the soul point of view, you will remember that. And you will also understand that nothing is lost.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Again, keeping this brief, but thank you for everything. How many versions of Wieteke are there out there in multidimensional realities? Then, if we could even put an understandable figure on it.
Just the amount of versions that she would understand herself to be. In this physical incarnation, the number could not be pronounced through this channel. It is too big.
That's how many split versions of her having different experiences and different realities.
Yes, you are literally, you too, every single one of you is moving through billions and billions of time frames, the static ones that we spoke about earlier, per second. The tick of the clock in that sense, or the time span, in a sense, that one such frame occupies would be called by your scientists the Planck time. A Planck length.
Of the a plane of just this particular type of life right now.
That is one separate time frame or parallel dimensional reality of a person, of existence, of all that is.
Let alone
translated in your universe.
Let alone the future or past lives. Just that's how many versions of this particular incarnation of Wieteke as she in this kind of makeup right now.
Yes, and therefore the number is unpronounceable. It's too big. And then, of course, yes, you have parallel, simultaneous incarnations. And eventually, since everything is happening here and now, and you are the old it is, you are everybody else. Eventually. But we understand what you mean. And of course, there are closer cross connections and those that are energetically seemingly farther away. We are still discovering the broadness and the vastness of ourselves. Every single time we discover a new species out there, we understand that we have rediscovered another part of ourselves. And this is why we can unconditionally love you and communicate with other species in that way and make open connections with excitement, because we understand that whatever it is we encounter, it offers us yet another new perspective of the way all that is experiences itself. And therefore we are bringing our own puzzle pieces and our own hidden Easter eggs back to our own baskets.
Wow. Okay. So, if there's issues in this life, in this current incarnation right now that we can't explain, like we've got addictions to this, or issues have taken us onto this course, but whatever the personal problems may be, right? Could that issue be coming from a bleed through from another version of yourself in this current in another parallel universe from this same current timeline?
So what you're asking is, if there's any perceived challenge in any given here and now for any single one of you, whether that could originate from a parallel simultaneous incarnation?
Yes.
It doesn't originate there, because it always originates with you, with the one who is perceiving it. You understand? Because that is the creator of their lives. Do you understand?
So it's not bleeding through from another.
This is simultaneously happening often. What you mean, the way you mean it, the way we understand you mean it, is perhaps that very often when a person with a particular challenge goes to a reader or a psychic, for instance, they are being told, well, there is this past life and this and that happened over there, or will happen if it's a future life. And this is affecting you here and now. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't work that way. You create a certain energy frequency signature for yourself right here, right now, in this life. And because you emanate that as an antenna, do you understand? You have that signal that is your unique energy frequency radiating from you in any given here and now. That is why on that wavelength, any particular overlapping simultaneous parallel incarnation can be perceived by you in that moment, as long as you choose to perpetuate that state of beingness.
So you can perceive it.
Like attracts like.
So you do perceive other parallel realities.
Of course. And so do you. You just have told yourself and taught yourself to believe that you don't. Many of you, as you were children, saw things that adults say you didn't or are not there. You were trained out of your natural ability to perceive other dimensional beings. But that is not happening so much anymore, like we said before. Times are changing. The awakening, as you call it, is rapidly unfolding for at least a part of the population on your planet. And in any given moment, people can choose to tune in with that more. And there is more available now than there was ever before. Hence our current dialogue together. That is one reflection of that. Widening probability.
So if I'm fighting with, say me and Wieteke were having a fight, not a physical fight, but a real disagreement in this current moment.
Yes.
then what about if from another parallel reality we are actually physically fighting, and there is something from each one that's harming, is influencing each other, that those energies are kind of...
They're not influencing each other so much as that they are resonating together. You become aware of that other parallel reality where perhaps a fight is physically happening, like you said in your example. You become aware of that because you have gotten closer to the energy frequency of that reality.
Could you meditate on it and help heal the one where you're physically fighting, maybe?
By shifting your own frequency, you can offer them another possibility, but they do not have to take it. You see, there is free will for every single aspect of you.
Now that's your truth. What if someone channeled a different truth? Would that make them wrong or right, or would that be just that's the reality that they're creating?
Whatever reality you choose to create for yourself, whatever you choose to believe will be your perceived reality and therefore your perceived truth in that moment. But understand that to believe in something that is not in alignment with your higher self, like we said before, that is originating from unconditional love, pure bliss and ecstasy. By your choice to believe in anything that is not in alignment with that, you will feel a lot more resistance in your everyday life or during the moments that you are choosing to believe something else to be true. And you could say that even though that is true for them in that moment, it is not in alignment with who they truly are. And therefore it is an upstream choice, and therefore you have given yourself, when you came into this physical body, the compass of your emotions in order to remind yourself of every single moment when you were on or off your track of your own highest frequency vibration. You see, when you feel sad, when you feel resistance, when you feel anger, when you feel frustrated, you're merely using a beautiful and perfectly installed alarm system that you've given yourself as a loving reminder to let you know, hey, look up, look up. There is something here that wants to be seen that is not in alignment with who you truly are.
So when someone's suffering from ongoing depression, they might be doing something in their life which isn't in alignment with who they truly are.
They're believing something to be true about themselves that is causing that particular emotional state that you call ongoing depression, but it's really being recreated in every single here and now by that individual that experiences that.
And only they would know what they're believing to be true, which is not true. They would know on a personal level what that is.
They may not be consciously aware of that, though. That's why some belief systems use or need some digging up. And this is why we always invite you to ask yourself the question when you feel yourself in a place of resistance, to ask yourself the question, what would it be that I believe to be true in this here and now, in order for me to feel this way? So that you can trace back the emotion, beyond the emotion, down to, quote unquote, the belief system that is hiding behind it or below it, and see what is causing these emotions. Because you do not feel anything or perceive anything to be true before you have a belief about it first. That's what you want to dig for in order to transform it.
Okay.
And that's why getting to know yourself is the key. Get to know yourself. Truly get to know yourself. And then you will be experientially free to follow your preferred energy frequency much easier.
Okay.
And see reflections back of that. By choosing to be that first, and that is how you allow reflections of that to be shown back at you.
Are you aware or ever in contact with any of the other entities that come through other people that are channeled in this current timeline?
Some yes, some no. Only those that are relevant for us become apparent to us.
And those that are not irrelevant, that don't become apparent?
They are not in our awareness.
And if I mention their names, would that bring them into your awareness?
A person can mention a name, but understand that many of the names that you get through as a representation of an energetic frequency may not be recognized by that name for us. Do you understand that? Because the name is a symbol in your language. In other words, in order for us to tune in with that energy frequency, we would have to have a more direct communication with that energy frequency. Do you understand this?
So, yes, thank you. So, who else would you be allowed to tell us, or would you be willing to tell us, are you working through that may be of a name that we would recognize?
We are connecting. Understand that I am a first contact specialist of the Yahyel, a hybrid race that is in genetic makeup closer to you, closest to you than most of the other genetic species out of the 5 that were created between those that you understand to be the grays and yourselves. Do you understand so far?
Yes.
As a first contact specialist, I reach out to many that are open for the Yahyel frequency. It doesn't necessarily mean they are channeling me or us, but sometimes they do. But this can be a person that you nor the channel that we are channeling through now has ever met, simply because they tuned in with our frequency so strongly just by watching, for instance, a video of this transmission or any other, that they felt my energy come through them. Now often this will go hand in hand with other Yahyel counterparts, or you could say other future version selves of them that they have in our civilization, or other hybrid races that are activated through this as well. There's so much more in action. There's so much more moving at the same time. It is never just one being. Even right now, we are co-creating this connection with assistance of our collective, with other beings that are assisting in the rebalancing and the continuation of a stable connection.
Okay.
So, to give you a list of names of other humans that I channel through in this way, it is not relevant, because it is not about whom I am being channeled by. It is much more about the particular energy frequency that can come through and can be received by others. And if that is being passed on by them, then that is beautiful. But there are no individuals, perhaps this is how you meant it, on your earth right now that I am channeling as intensely with as I am right now with this channel, as a person speaking for myself. But understand, still, like we said before, it is a collective endeavor.
Okay, absolutely. And just shifting, but going to come back to where we're at with you right now. And those who, are just more, have mediumistic gifts to channel people that have, not channel, yeah, I suppose they do. They channel people that have crossed over, or they connect with loved ones for people.
Yes.
Obviously, this is a different type of information coming through compared to that. Does that mean that those with those gifts of being able to communicate with those that have passed on have chosen to come in with those gifts heightened when they've incarnated as as the human being that they've come here to be, but with those gifts more open than others?
Yes, you all have your own specific, you could say, talents and abilities. Wouldn't it be boring if it was all just in one direction? Like that? You see, some of you have come into this time and age particularly specialized in perceiving those that you call that have passed over or are deceased. Now, it is all of value because the veil is thinning, and therefore people who have passed over, as you call it, can communicate with you much easier than before. The same goes for us, higher dimensional or extraterrestrial races. Many of us can communicate with you so much easier than you could before, when your energy frequency on Earth was so much denser and slower. So within this age of awakening, many have come in to help build a bridge in one way, shape or form, in their own unique way, in order to make this understanding available for the masses, that all of you on some level are already able to make these same connections. Because, like we said before, you cannot possibly perceive that which you are not already in one way, shape or form of the same vibration of. And therefore all these portals, all these channels, all these bridges and translators offer you puzzle pieces of the remembrance of all that is possible for you here and now, to truly embrace, encounter and communicate with all multi-dimensional aspects that you already hold within you.
So if you was to give us star coordinates right now of where you're based, and we had the technology to go there, would we actually...
You wouldn't be able, because it is on a different energy frequency in another dimension. The coordinates, if we would share them with you right now in your language, as your scientists understand it, would lead you to a place where is seemingly nothing to be seen on your dimensional frequency.
Wieteke channels you right now
through her higher self.
Who's channeling? Is anybody out there, unbeknown to Wieteke, channeling her higher self?
No, every higher self in that sense is custom made for the one channeling themselves. You are channeling your own higher self in any given moment. Do you understand that? Okay, perhaps this will clarify it a little bit. As you are moving through all of these parallel dimensional time frames, billions of times per second, yes?
Yes.
Every single split second, you create a new higher self. So with all these versions of you, there are specific and custom-made versions of your higher self that change along with that. Like we said before, everything changes. Everything changes.
So unbeknown to me, no one's... if someone wanted to channel my higher self, it's very possible that they could do that, though.
They can tune in with it in order to communicate with, you could say, the source aspect of you more directly, but it would still be your higher self.
So not that wise.
You see, your higher self is custom made for you as the persona you understand yourself to be right here, right now, in this physical form, in order to have this physical experience. The higher self is a little bit like, you could say, the hub between the soul and the persona self that translates what it is like to be on Earth. You need these, in a sense, glasses to look through in order to understand that you are having a physical life to begin with.
Yes.
Do you understand?
So let me ask you this then. With all the wisdom you've brought out in the 1 hour of interviewing here and more, which will be condensed in the documentary, which is a shame, right? But we're going to put the best bits in there.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, right? With all this amazing wisdom, and I'm so honoured to have you here as well, like I am all the channels that are taking part. This is only your truth at the level you're at. What is beyond your level? Have you ever channeled to beings beyond your understanding?
We can share with you that the 5 universal laws that we shared with you are active, you could say, like we said before, on all dimensional realities.
So is there levels above you?
Linearly speaking, yes.
And are you able to connect to those higher levels?
We are connected to that, as are you, because everything is simultaneously existing and we are all one. Remember, the one are the all, and the all is the one.
So
So it is within you. What you are informing about is within you.
But okay, so I'm able to channel maybe those higher levels, okay.
And in moments you are. When you align yourself with your own higher self, you allow more through of that.
But are you wanting to channel higher levels above you to increase your level?
We don't do it to get somewhere else for any purpose in that sense, but out of joy, there are still individuals, and so do I, in my own collective, in my own society, that connect to higher dimensional frequency energies, often group consciousnesses. You would understand them to be no longer physical, in order to get more familiar with that level. Yes, we do.
And what is some of the information that you're bringing through from those levels?
It's information that is relevant for us. It will always be information that is relevant for us in the moment of connecting. Understand, like we said before, that we are slowly but surely, linearly speaking, moving in that direction and moving away from being physical eventually. So we are getting familiar with that state of being through these kinds of communications, as you are getting familiar with the idea of being on a 5th dimensional level through this kind of communication.
So so there's even more truth, seismic information, than what's been brought through that even
there is always more, and there will always be more. It is truly infinite. You will never cease to discover.
What is something that you've discovered that was mind-blowing from channeling higher levels above you?
There are many things that you would call mind-blowing. You see, for us, it is just as exciting and mind-blowing to connect with you right here, right now, and tune in with your frequency, as it is to connect and tune in with a higher dimensional frequency, looking at it linearly again. Because we are so in the here and now and following our excitement in every single moment, there is no need for us to differentiate between the two. It is just as fascinating to see how you are living from your perspective with these filters in place, like we said before, for us to communicate with, as it is with a group consciousness that is no longer physical at all and thinks, feels, perceives as one instantaneously. Both are just as fascinating and valuable for us as elements to learn from and grow from and expand through for ourselves.
But would you be able to give me anything that would say, okay, here's something new I brought through from the realities even above the level that which you're at? Would we be allowed to hear anything that might be just something that was above the level which you come from, that you channel to higher levels than you're at?
Well, since, like we said before, we are still physical, but we are in the later stages of that. We understand that we create what is the physical. Going beyond that, letting go of that idea entirely and what that feels like is what we're tuning in with now. There are no words in your language to express what that is like for us.
So if I was,
But it is highly fascinating, like we said before.
if I was a scientist and I had a bit more of a scientific background, and I was able to, and I was having this conversation, would you be allowed to give me information that would scientifically evolve us as a species, rather than us having to discover or make new discoveries? It would be a discovery, whatever you could tell us, but I mean, if there really was free energy, would you be allowed to give us...
You're made of it. Everything is free energy.
But for us to have a machine that would tap into that to...
It would take that getting to know yourself better, because then you would understand what everything else is made of. You are already ready for that. You have already made such inventions. Many are yet to come, but some have already been done. This is no secret. This is information that is within you, and many of your scientists have already discovered this principle. It is up to the readiness of your collective in order to be open enough to allow that to come on the table.
Okay, so if I wanted the cure for cancer, a particular type of cancer, would you be allowed to do...
It will differ from a case-to-case basis, because you create dis-ease as a result or manifestation, translation of many factors. Now, in many cases on your Earth, where you are right now, the toxicity of your planet and the way you have chosen to live your lives is one of the root causes, but never the sole cause. There is often 99.9% of the cases a spiritual other reason, you see, for every individual to translate that particular disease in one particular way, shape or form for themselves, as you are always also talking to yourselves.
Yes. Okay.
Through the body manifestations.
Okay. So
if you were looking for a cure for cancer, then yes, what is the question?
Okay, thank you. I think I understand what you mean now. I think I understand what you mean.
Okay.
So,
and understand that when you, if you want to, when you make a discovery, you are channeling. You are in alignment with your higher self. When scientists do a discovery that is of great importance or can be of great value for your future as a human race, that is a channeling state. It is them being focused in a state of being that they desire to be in, and they allow that to happen without insistence of what the outcome should be, that such puzzle pieces can come to them and through them.
But through the use of channeling, you're not going to, you know, if
and they are getting assistance with that.
Absolutely.
Like you said earlier.
But if someone's watching this and they're like, oh, I'm a scientist and I want to create the next type of battery cell. Now, a new type of battery cell that could revolutionize the whole, you know, electronics industry, turn it on its head. You know, they can't come to a channel and say, listen, what is the next formula for a new type of battery? Give us something from the future to bring into the present moment right now, or give us something from your present moment to our present moment.
Some channelers may be able to answer in that way, but that would be a co-creation, wouldn't it? Between the scientists and the channelers. And if that is the way wherein you could say on a higher level an agreement has been made that this particular information, quote unquote, should come through, then it will. There's a probability range that it will in that way. But there's a bigger probability range in most occasions that it will come through a person's enthusiasm in a way that does not imply in any way, shape or form dependency to another source of information in that way. Because what you're asking or what you're stating as an example is a very specific and very much loaded with expectation kind of formula. Going to a channeler to ask for that specific answer, you see, is loaded with insistence. It's not coming from a free flowing place, and therefore chances of a good answer coming through that way will be much, 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 much smaller. Do you understand?
I do, and it's almost like, would we be ready for it? It's got to happen at the right time when it's supposed to be.
The more you all collectively allow yourselves to be more of yourselves, and the more you get to know yourselves, the more you will speak up for what you prefer, the more you will act, and this is of major importance, to ground what wants to channel through you onto your planet so it can come to fruition and you can begin to live your dream instead of just dreaming of living. When these things are moving in a stronger momentum together, which is enhancing already every single moment as we speak, you will find that such inventions flow also more easily to the surface of your population's awareness through bigger channels such as television and so forth.
Are we looking for a society that's peaceful?
If you are looking for it, that is the fastest way to not find it, because looking for it implies again insistence.
Can it be reached with so many facets of religion? Can a peaceful world be reached with Islamic, Christianity, and other religions all mixed in there?
Remember, you create your version of reality. You see, so if you doubt that that can happen with what you perceive to be big differences between different kinds of religions on your earth, with your belief system that lies behind that perception that you just described to us, if you believe it is hard for world peace to come or open contact with us to eventually unfold for you to witness, if you believe that these are obstacles in the way, then you will experience the reflection of that. But it is up to you. You do not have to make these observations obstacles. You can make them fun challenges if you want to.
Are we travelling interdimensionally when we make changes? So if I say, okay, now I'm choosing that in my reality, religion is not going to be a block to world peace. It's going to be part of the peace, and.
Yes, then you have shifted realities entirely. If you can truly 100% believe that, if you can truly choose to believe that to be your new truth, yes, then you have shifted entirely. And every transformation, every change is a full change. Understand that the slightest change you make, whether it is getting up 7:05 instead of 7 o'clock, is a different, complete change. The entire universe that you're in is a different universe.
So you're walking from one universe to another?
Yes, every single split second, every Planck length of your time.
But I'm not aware physically of walking from one reality to another. It just is.
But you're becoming aware of that, are you not?
To have this conversation, I am.
Through conversations such as these, you can become aware of that through following your heart and seeing synchronistically the reflections being shown back at you. You can discover this to be true for yourself in your own life.
And this is why you talked about the unnameable amount of numbers involved in even in this physical life that I'm having now.
Yes, because you envelope, you cocoon, you hold them all within you. It is all you.
But that all universe that I left, that's still going on.
It is there, but it is... How do you mean the question?
Well, if I'm flowing from one reality to another,
yes,
physically, this is now another reality.
Then they are simultaneously existing. And every single moment you think back of that reality, understand that you have already overwritten it in a new version, because when the you that you are now thinks back of another moment in the past, as you believe it to be existing right here, right now, you're creating it right here, right now, you're looking at it with the eyes of the person that you are right here, right now, which are different eyes than the person had yesterday, thinking back of that moment in the past. Do you understand this?
So my physical body still exists in that other universe, it's just my consciousness as it is now is not in that body. So,
exactly.
well, what consciousness is in that body that I left? What takes place of what the one I left?
You could say, in a sense, it is a stagnant frame, a series of stagnant frames, understand? That are still coexisting with you here and now. And you decide by your focus where you shine your light through. So you, in a sense, parallel rediscover them again when you think back of such a thing. Do you understand? Yes. You rearrange your energy frequency in a way so it touches back, quote unquote, upon that moment, recreating it in the here and now, in another version of that. But that original version is still existing on itself. It is, yes. And nothing in that sense happens to it that is relevant for you here and now because you're focused in this version.
Could I channel that version if I wanted to?
The older version? When you think back of it, you channel it.
Right.
But you will channel it the way it comes through to you right here, right now, which is different still from how it originally was. Because now you are a different person, are you not?
You can create any reality you want.
Yes.
But if I wanted to become an astronaut now, I've left my life too late for that.
Well, you see, you can create any reality that is relevant for you. So it is more, you can create any reality you need than any reality you want. But colloquially speaking, the idea that you can create any reality is correct.
But only if it's relevant.
Yes.
Being an astronaut probably in this time right now would not be relevant.
It may not be, it may be.
Right. I like the reply. Relevant. Wow. Okay. Wow.
You will get what you need. You will get what you need. And it's very relaxing to surrender to that. You will always be given exactly what you need.
You've answered my question. So basically, if there's a lover that I really would have loved to have been with,
yes,
and it's not relevant in this time, but I still love that person. I still would have loved to experience that. That experience is still going on by some other aspect of me.
Yes.
So really, you may not have experienced it firsthand consciously in this reality, but it is going on. So you are doing it somewhere else.
There is a good chance that another version of you is having that experience, yes.
Lucky bastard. Right.
Well, only if you believe that you're missing out by not being that version. But when you choose to trust that you are here right now, having, quote unquote, everything you need to be this perfect version of you here and now with you, then what's missing? You are always whole, you are always perfect, you are always complete. Do you understand? But if you feel within your own integrity that you could have, or still can, take some steps to communicate to the other person, for instance, that you like them and that you are curious about getting to know them better, then by all means do follow your heart and take these extra steps until you have convinced yourself that you have done everything within your power, following your passion without insistence as to what the outcome should be, to explore that particular journey.
But then older people than myself that get interviewed sometimes, and when they say, "Oh, I had this regret in my life. I had that regret in my life." Really, there are no such things as regrets because there's part of you that's already lived that. But to them, in their reality, it's a regret.
As long as you continue to empower the belief system that something therefore must be missing, you will be feeling the emotion you call regret.
I like what you just said about the understanding of that, that actually maybe what you thought you regretted or what you thought you missed out on actually really in this moment wasn't for your highest good, and if you had lived that life, you would not have been as happy as you are now with the path that you've actually taken. Yes,
by owning the circumstances in that way, you can free yourself from the necessity or the idea of that, of needing, quote unquote, to feel such things as regret or sorrow or grief. But as long as you are still feeling that, by all means use these emotional markers, because they are your friends. They have come to your awareness in order to show you that something is still out of alignment with who you truly are. Because your true nature of unconditional love understands that nothing is missing out, ever.
Am I making this all up?
Yes, you are. And we are dreaming you as you are dreaming us. And that is a perfect way of stating, a perfect sentence you have just formulated that indicates your awakening, dear friend.
And if I'm making this up, why then should I think that the you that's coming through now is any wiser? Why do you seem to be... Why am I making up a wiser part of myself coming through Wieteke then?
Because you are choosing to believe that through this particular reflection of the outside world that is also made up by you, you can receive this and allow this in. But this is happening within you. This is happening inside you. This is not coming from outside of you at all.
So what about the people watching me right now? Or watching you right now?
Good question. That too is happening inside of them. They think they are staring at a computer screen outside of them and hearing the audio through the boxes or the headset. But they are only perceiving what they are creating in their here and now perception of this communication, which is happening within them.
So I didn't love myself enough then for any other way for this information to come through except for this way?
Is there judgment in that?
Could be.
Why would you choose that to be there? Can't you love it as it is?
I think it's...
You see, if you do not resist the way it comes right now, it can come to you in infinite other ways.
Was I not ready for any other way except for this way?
If you believed you weren't, then you weren't.
Then why did I choose to make it up this way?
Perhaps you were still playing with some filters.
Goddamn filters. Right.
You can love them, you know. Are you not having fun exploring them and looking at them against the light like you are right now with us?
Oh yeah.
Is this not fun?
Oh, this is fun.
Then no reason to judge it, is there? You're just wheeling it in, you know.
So if I'm making this up and I'm making you up, you're a reflection of my dream, I'm a reflection of your dream, or whatever that means.
Yes.
Then why should I trust you?
Why would you not? Because you are looking at a reflection of yourself. What does trust mean for you?
Is there better information beyond what you're giving me now? Are you giving me information that's keeping me suppressed?
You will feel if that is so. If this is making you feel free, empowered, and stronger, you see, then you're recognizing that you are speaking to yourself.
What's beyond myself? What's
If this
beyond you?
excites you, then you are in alignment with your own higher self. And understand that everything we are telling you right here, right now, comes from your higher self. And that there is nothing, not a word, throughout this entire transmission that we have shared with you, that is not information that was already within you. It can only come to you, again, like we said before, you can only perceive it because you already contain the frequency vibration of it within you.
But I always want to go beyond this. I want to go to levels beyond what you're coming through. Why do I want to go beyond my higher self?
Good question. Why do you? Do you not believe that what is here and now for you is enough? Are you not enjoying the idea of still having something to discover for later? Does that not excite you?
Yeah.
We are thrilled with that idea. And we love it. We have chosen to love it because we understand there will always be more. So not loving that or wanting to be there before proper or divine timing would be a lower frequency state than choosing to love it and trust that it will come in divine timing? Do you not trust that you, the bigger version of you, loves you unconditionally and will bring you everything you need, like we said before? Not a second earlier than when you're truly ready for it, and not a second later?
Yes.
Is that not a comforting, calming, soothing thought to surrender to?
Yes, I suppose it's just that inquiring part of my higher self that's always like, what's beyond it? Well, where does God fit into it? Is God beyond this? Is God beyond this conversation? Is God beyond this idea of what's beyond?
What you call God, we call all that is. And what we refer to as the universe or the bigger you is all that is God.
What's beyond all that is?
Nothing.
What is nothing?
There is no such thing.
And what's beyond no such thing?
Like we just said, understand that all that is all that exists, yes?
But is that to your perception of where you are right now? Could there be something?
You can follow along if you want to. All that is all that exists, yes?
Right.
So, there cannot be anything outside of all that is. That's why it's called all that is.
But
and you could say that if there is a nothing or a non-existence, then that cannot exist, now can it?
Or am I making that up to block myself off from the actual truth that there is something beyond all that is?
Why would you want to believe that?
Because is something more better than what we have right now, even in this conversation?
See, you're still playing the same game. You're continuing to play the same game, that perhaps you're not getting all you need.
Yes.
So that is the real question for you. What are you getting out of believing that?
To make sure that I'm...
How can you make sure?
To be greedy, to see beyond that, to see, well, if they keep pushing...
Well, you see, pushing and pulling shows you're not trusting. And when you're fully in the here and now, there's no reason to push or pull, believe us.
But then that's like saying, I'm contained within this room and everything that I want within this room is so beautiful, and why would I want nothing more? That is so true, because your answer gives me that. Your answer says, everything that I've told you, or everything that you know to be truth, because it's all coming for you actually, is just so divine right now. Why would you want to leave what's beyond the walls? Because I'm saying, well, is there something better than staying at this point?
If you would tell yourself there is nothing better than being where I am right here, right now, then you have truly brought yourself home. And if you continue to say that in every single newly created here and now, you will remain on that ecstatic high frequency of pure bliss. There's nothing better than this moment, and there is nothing better than this moment, and there is truly nothing than this moment. Because in every single here and now, I know that everything that needs to be with me is with me. I am complete, I am whole, all is perfect. And I can change my mind, I can change my plans, I have still things to discover, I can go on my way, I can go on my journey as I perceive it linearly. But along the way, every step of the way, I can tell myself, this is perfect, this is the best moment I have ever lived.
Was that what I was trying to do in the place where I came from before I understood the place?
You knew this before you incarnated into this physical body.
Well, that's almost like saying there was nothing better to do on a Saturday night than to have this experience then.
You knew what tremendous excitement and joy and release would come with the experience of getting to rediscover that for yourself as this person, as this person, as this person, as this person, and all the versions that you are in the process of creating.
Okay, well, I will keep it simple then. I mean, if I was to say what would give me, this is joyful. In this moment right now, there's no really other place I'd want to be right now.
We can tell you have fallen in love with it.
Yeah, but you know what? You just keep taking the words out of my mouth there from what I was just about to say, which was, you know, one thing I do that I really, beyond knowing what's beyond the beyond, or if there is anything beyond there, or just knowing that that is my limitation of my own truth.
When you define it as a limitation, it will be experienced as such.
Okay, that's true. God damn it, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but one thing I would love to experience is love with you know, falling in love with a partner again. And to me, that's such a simple thing compared to the questions I'm asking, right? But that to me is just something I'm really looking forward to, and I think about it often. So yeah, you are right in one sense. What you've said, that sometimes just this reality is just amazing.
And if you can fall in love with that, and don't make it a statement sounding like, I am now experiencing how it is like to fall in love with every single here and now, and it is perfect and complete as it is, comma, but I would be even happier if that would happen between me and another person. Then you have made it conditional again, you see.
But I like the conditional.
Then the question is, why do you like it? Why do you believe you need it? Because the conditions are closing doors, you see, not opening them for you.
I guess maybe from a different perspective this time of falling in love. Maybe I'm not making myself very clear because it's difficult to put into words, but I kind of, what I was trying to say is the smaller things are just as important, even though they're with closing door conditions on them, right? Just as the bigger questions I was trying to pose to you there. That's maybe the space I'm trying to come from. Yeah.
You love the discovery. You love the journey.
There you go. That's another way of saying it. Yes. Yes.
Well, you can say, I love this here and now, and I know that everything I need is with me here and now. And I choose to trust that it will continue to remain so in every, what I perceive to be future moment.
Yes.
And that the idea of falling in love with another person in an entirely new way will be there at some point too. Yes. But I do not have to think about that here and now, and I don't have to push or pull, I don't have to do anything for that. I can just choose to trust that if that is relevant for me, it will come.
I do think about it though, because I think I'm picking up that it is coming. I think that's why it's only relevant to me.
If you're excited about it, if that is what you mean, then revel in it. Your excitement creates more momentum.
That's what it is. It's
as long as you say, like we said before, it is non-insisting.
Not insisting, but knowing it's going to happen. I don't know why I know it's going to happen. Well, maybe I do, because I'm picking up on the potential that it's already happened, or it's already there if it all is one. But
well, that's a nice and loose way to put it. That's a gentle way to state it for yourself, keeping the doors open.
Yes.
I don't know why I feel like I know it's going to happen. Perhaps it already happened. That's a daydreaming, light way of wondering and pondering this idea.
Yes.
And that's friendly. You hold it like a feather. You're not squeezing it.
No.
So it can still fly.
Exactly, and people listen to that. That's what I want to come. That's exactly. God, that's very good.
So that's playing. That's playing with reality. That's understanding that what you call reality, that is you. And this is a gentle way to play with it. And there are many ways to do that, by using affirmations or playing with your language, as you do right now.
That's exactly how it is.
But the most important thing is to feel into the energy frequency of it.
1000%, because if you don't feel it, what's the point?
Exactly.
Right? And that's exactly what I've been doing. So I just wanted to use that analogy from asking those really deep questions to actually saying, well, look, you know, this is just as joyful for me playing with something like this as it is trying to like look beyond the beyond. And
because it is all equal, and not one thing is bigger than the other.
Well, when you said how great it is, I'm personifying your words, how great it is to be in this moment right now.
Yes.
I'm saying yes, it is. So
it is.
I'm agreeing with you, right? It's just I only ask these deep questions because have you never considered them? If you're part of me and I'm making this up, my part of them, that's this aspect of me coming through now, you must have considered this as well.
We are bringing you our point of view from where we are, and you are asking from where you are, and the bridge in between implies a wanting to discover, and the answer implies you already know. So you're letting yourself know through the answers that come through this channel that there is a future version of you that already knows this and is living it.
Okay.
Does that feel round to you?
It does, it does. I'm going to have left out questions here, and that's such a shame because...
You can make a follow-up, but for now we recommend you round it off.
Yes, yes. So rounding this off, whatever you want to say, it's all yours.
We invite you all to follow your hearts and to become those children again, linearly speaking, but that you have always been, and that are actually the more evolved versions of you, looking from a heart perspective, so that your hearts can be the primal receivers of the source energy that is always being sent to it through you, and your minds can become the assistants of the heart instead of the other way around. And with that, you are truly bringing yourself home. And on that energy frequency, we can play with you, we can meet, and we can be together in what you call your physical world one day. And we thank you for tuning in, and we thank you for allowing in our energies through this particular channel at this moment of your time, as you are creating it within yourselves. And we thank you for, with that, co-creating a new blueprint level that hovers, in a sense, metaphorically speaking, over your planet and comes closer and closer, densifies into your physical reality, slowly but surely, as we will wink at you a little more often. More ships will be seen, more encounters will be had, more memories will come flowing in for you automatically on your journeys. You do not have to push and pull at all for that to happen. All you have to do for that is allow it to happen by being the most full version of yourself that you can possibly be in any given moment. And that you allow in by following your excitement to the best of your ability in any given moment, until you can take it no further without insistence as to what the outcome ought to be, and then moving on to the next thing that excites you the most. We have immensely enjoyed this interaction, and we are very excited, very excited, very excited for any interaction to come. Sweet dreams to all of you. Until we meet again. Namaste.